Story 1. The Man with the Popped Collar. I moved to England to feel less lost and end up in a 3-story flat in Essex with 3 older roommates. I'm 24, the kid sister who triple locks everything. The living room and kitchen are a glass box facing a fenced garden. By day, it's pretty, but at night, it feels like a fish tank. One roommate, let's call her Cherry, brings home strangers and screams later. I've learned to sleep in headphones. Tonight, I'm upstairs in a long t-shirt, papers spread around me, finishing work I promised last week. Headphones in, volume up, because Cherry texted she's out with coworkers, which means drinks, which means a meltdown around midnight. I don't want the preview. What I feel before I see is air move, that temperature shift you only notice when you think you're alone. I look up, and there's a man standing over my bed like he grew out of the carpet. My mouth runs before my brain catches up. Cherry's room is downstairs, I say, waving a pen. He doesn't move. He smiles instead. I'm not here for Cherry. Everything goes cold and bright. I see him clearly. One hand holds a knife, the other a cheap bottle of Prosecco with the wire still on the cork. His hair is damp, like he's crawled through hedges. His pupils are huge. One collar of his baby blue polo is popped. He's between me and the door. I don't scream. I decide to make him think he's in control while I take it. He pries the cork with the knife and the bottle explodes, foam everywhere, a wet gasp across my duvet and carpet. No, I say, like we're a couple arguing at brunch. Let's clean that before it stains, and Prosecco belongs in a flute. He tilts his head. Classy bird, he says. Totally, I say, standing, pretending not to notice the knife tracking me. I move as if I'm getting glasses from the kitchen. He fists a handful of my nightshirt at the small of my back. The knife grazes my spine. I chatter about nothing. Weather, trains, a pretend party. Because my heartbeat is so loud, I'm sure he can hear it. We walk the staircase spiral. 3 floors. The world's slowest descent. The hallway at the bottom goes left to the front door or right towards the glass living room and kitchen. I steer to the kitchen, pointing at the cabinet with the flutes. He says, too quickly, that he knows where they are. Perfect. I let the table fall between us. I run. The hallway is longer than it's ever been. My hands turn into mittens as I fumble the chain, the deadbolt, the sticky thumb turn we all curse. I yank the door wide and stumble onto the front step, barefoot on gravel, and there are 2 men across the street walking home from the station. Help! I shout. The intruder slams into me, shoving me hard enough that pebbles tattoo my knees. He sprints past, down the street. One of the men takes off after him. The other grabs my elbow. Inside, call the police. I lock everything and dial with shaking fingers. While I'm on with dispatch, I power walk the flat, checking windows, the back door, the glass wall that makes us a display case. The dispatcher's voice is steady. She asks what he looked like and whether I'm alone. Then the banging starts. My front door jumps in its frame. I whisper, "He's back." "Officers are on the street now," she says. "Do not open the door." Through the peephole, I see him. Same pop collar, same knife hand, eyes like oil. He's screaming that I have his glasses, that he isn't done with me. Sirens bloom. He vanishes. A patrol car fishtails to a stop. The passenger officer is already running as the cruiser rolls. The driver comes in, takes statements from me and the 2 men, bags the wire cage and cork, photographs the foam on my carpet. Cherry bursts in mid-statement, sees the officers and cries. I shake so hard the pen rattles against the clipboard. Morning comes after an hour that takes a year. They ask me to ID a suspect. I pick him from a line. In a small room, they show me an evidence bag, my underwear, photographs lifted from our shelves. The officer says the part that makes the walls tilt, that the man has been watching me for months. There's a scrubby hill behind our building that looks down into our glass wall. Up there, they found a nest, flattened grass, cigarette ends, food wrappers, a blanket. He's a known offender, the officer says. Dealer, too. You were lucky. Lucky. I walk home along the brighter side of the street, and every reflective surface feels like a peephole. The glass wall makes the living room a stage. I replace the chain, add a second one, wedge a rubber stop. I look at the ring printed in Prosecco on the tile and scrub until my knuckles turn pink. That night I don't wear headphones. I sit upright in bed with a mug of tea going untouched. Every so often I peer at the hill, just a lump of dark. I imagine a face there, a collar, a glint. My phone lights with Cherry's apology. I mute the thread. Around 3, the house settles and the glass ticks. A fox screams and I nearly call 999 again. I rehearse what I'll say if a trial happens. I think about testimony with my underwear in a clear bag on a table. I think about blinking and seeing that collar again, the way he smiled like I was a surprise he'd earned. Sunrise arrives like a verdict. I am not who I was yesterday. I'm a person who knows her house has 2 front rows, one inside, one outside. I'm a person who runs when a bottle pops. I'm a person who survived by acting like a host. Story 2. The clack in the kitchen. I'm half asleep at 3 a.m., screen glow on my face, iPad slipping toward my chest, when the apartment makes a sound I know too well. A sharp, plasticky snap, like a joint popping. The kitchen door. In this 1950s place, the door's warped just enough that when the knob turns, the latch jumps out of the strike plate with a very specific clack. You don't hear it unless someone opens that door. My first thought is dumb. Maybe the latch finally broke and the door just let go. The second thought is worse. Someone turned it. I live alone. My girlfriend's in the hospital, sick but stable, and the plan has been basic. Work, visit, home, sleep, repeat. I keep a broomstick by the bed because paranoia is cheaper than therapy. She used to laugh about it. I'm not laughing now. I slide out of bed. One hand wraps the stick. The other goes for my phone. It's an old dumb phone with this goofy feature. Press a code and it fakes an incoming call. My thumb fumbles and triggers it by accident. In the silence, the phone trills like I'm getting a call at 3 a.m. If someone's beyond my door, they just heard that. The ringtone dies. The apartment goes dead quiet again, like the kind of quiet you can hear pressing on your eardrums. I hold my breath, brain sprinting through options. The plan is open the bedroom, call 911, keep the stick up, apologize later if it's nothing. My thumb dials. The operator answers, with steady training wheels calm. I twist my knob, rip the door open, and a shape darts across the hallway fast and slips into the kitchen, pulling the door closed behind like a shadow taking a breath. Hey, I bark, more reflex than bravery. I take a step forward, then stop. There's a second hallway to the left, living room and office, and the office light is on. Did he come from there? Is there a second person? I back into my doorway to keep my rear covered, phone pressed to my cheek, stick up like a bad baseball stance. The operator asks me for my address. I give it too loud. He says a patrol car is nearby. Wait where you are. Do not engage. Easy for him to say. I picture the kitchen. Big windows over the sink, facing the back garden. Old latch. One window I cracked earlier because the night was stupid hot. My scalp prickles. I don't hear footsteps. Just the long drip of the faucet we always mean to fix and never do. It smells wrong, like wet dog and stale sweat. I realize it's following the corridor from the kitchen to my nose. "Sir," the operator says, "are you secure?" "As secure as a bathrobe and a broom get me," I whisper. Minutes turn into soup. 7, maybe 8. Every second stretches until it squeals. I keep my eyes on both halls, switching like a busted sprinkler. Then the buzzer on the building door sounds, a knock, and someone calls my name. I ease to the front, crack it, and let in 2 officers. Adrenaline makes my hands feel like mittens. We sweep the place together. Living room, office, closets, behind the shower curtain, under the bed, nothing. The air still carries that sour smell, like the intruder smeared it on his sleeves and painted my night with it. The kitchen tells the rest of the story. The window I left cracked is wide now, curtain blown out into the room like a ghost tongue. Outside, the drain pipe runs right by it like a ladder someone installed for free. Scuff marks on the sill track a dirty shoes pivot. One officer leans out, beams his flashlight, and nods. He climbed. We talk on the threshold, while two more officers walk the garden with their lights, haloed by moths. I give the best description I can muster between shakes. Light sweatshirt with horizontal stripes, dark hair, didn't see his face long, moved like he'd rehearsed, and, this is the grossest part, he stank. They leave to canvass the block. The apartment exhales without them and still smells wrong. I open windows I can secure, turn every lock over twice, then 3 times, then stand there rereading the metal like it's a prayer. My bed is a raft on a black lake. There's no sleeping, only listening. Every appliance tick is a footfall. The refrigerator hum is a man's throat. The sun climbs up the courtyard wall like nothing happened. I make coffee with hands that can't decide if they're cold or buzzing, and head down to the back garden to look for clues like a TV detective who's had 2 hours of fear for breakfast. I find nothing. No dropped wallet, no cigarette butt, no cartoon footprints. A neighbor in the next building leans out of her window, hair in a scarf, cigarette unlit between her fingers. "You heard something last night?" I ask. She shrugs, like the island of familiarity we both hope this is. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she says, accent I can't place. "Happens. Don't leave windows open. Bars help." I nod because it's either nod or howl. That afternoon, I buy a little motion alarm with a shriek like a smoke detector having a panic attack and wedge it near the kitchen window. It feels like taping a Band-Aid over a bank vault, but it's something. That night I don't crack anything, no matter how hot the apartment gets. I sit on top of the covers and hold the broomstick like a talisman from an uglier religion. For weeks after, the clack owns me. I hear it when the apartment settles. I hear it when the neighbor's door misfires. I hear it in dreams, always followed by the smear of that smell in the hallway and the flash of someone cutting across my vision, fast and close enough for me to feel the air he moves. I keep replaying the dumb accident with the fake ring. Did that save me? Did it warn him I was awake and push him to flee? Or did it tell him exactly how deep the apartment was, how close my room was to the kitchen? I imagine an alternate where I don't hit those keys, where I sleep a minute longer, where he doesn't sprint, he creeps. You think you possess your rooms because you pay rent and keep your toothbrush here, but you share them with whoever can climb a pipe and count latches. You share them with the part of yourself that knows a sound so well you wake inside it. The police never found him. I bought bars. Later, I moved to a building with 7 floors between me and any garden. It doesn't fix the clack. It just moves it higher. When the broomstick finally goes back to being a broom, I leave it by the kitchen, as if it can guard the window it failed to guard before. At night, I still listen for the latch to leap, the ugly vowel of it, and for the rush of breath that follows. Most nights, it's just the refrigerator. Sometimes the past loops the track and reminds me, in the quiet, someone ran inside my home like a rabbit into brush, and the only proof left by morning was air that wouldn't smell right and a window learning how not to be trusted. Story 3. The door I swear I locked. By the time I lug the last grocery bag inside, my arms feel like wet noodles and my 1-year-old is drooling on my shoulder in that warm, heavy way that says she's absolutely done. Routine is everything when you're a brand new mom running on fumes. Errands, gym, home, nap together. I can do it with my eyes half closed. I set the bags down, hip the door shut, click, I think, and carry her to the back, the master, because I sleep better when she's tucked against me and I can feel the rise and fall of her little ribs under my palm. I tell myself I'll just lay down until my pulse stops in my ears. We both pass out. When I wake, the bedroom door is open. It's such a tiny wrongness that my brain smooths it over at first. Maybe I didn't close it all the way. Maybe the AC nudged it. I get up, stretch sore shoulders, and step into the quiet condo. Late light, The two front bedrooms throwing their long rectangles across the hall, the small office crowded with our adulting piles, tax receipts, camera, laptop. Everything looks exactly as we left it, which is both comforting and, I don't know, off. Maybe it's the silence. I go to start dinner. There's a weird weight in my chest I can't name. My husband comes in a little later, drops his keys, asks why the front door was unlocked. I laugh, automatically defensive. No way, I locked it. I always lock it. He shrugs, not unkindly. It was open. The unlocked door sits in my head like a black marble. I shake it off because there are carrots to chop and a baby to entertain and a body that still thinks it's nap time. I say I'll go check the mail and step outside into the orange smear of evening. Our elderly neighbor is at the mailboxes, small and bird-boned, cardigan despite the heat. She recognizes me and leans in like she's been waiting. There was a man, she says, eyes wide, right at my back slider. Tonight, I ask, because my skin knows the answer before she nods. She holds her hands up, shows how tall he was. Over 6 feet, bright red face, a stare like he was looking through the glass and through her. Tried the handle, pushed. Under the porch light, he looked wrong, glassy, chemical. He was on something, she says. He didn't care that I saw him. I feel the blood leave my body. It's the only way to describe it. The hallway tilts for a second, and I have to blink the world back into focus. I walk fast, don't run because running feels like admitting something, and the condo door's right there, and the moment I step in, I hear my husband say my name sharp. Angry in a way that isn't for me. I move toward the sound, heart tripping, and the office is chaos. Drawers yanked, papers snowing the desk chair, the camera gone, little explosions of, "Where did you put that?" die on his tongue as we both understand at the same time. We were robbed. The phrase feels fake even as I say it. Like I'm reading someone else's line. My eyes jump to the back, the master. The open door. My daughter in our bed earlier, soft and damp and unguarded. Every hair on my arms lifts. He was in here, I say, and my voice sounds smaller than my body. He opened the door. Did he watch us? The questions are ugly and sticky. Why did he do it? How long was he inside? What did he touch with those red hands? There's no evidence beyond disorder, but the idea grows teeth and it chews. Vulnerable is a word people use and you nod politely. It doesn't mean anything until you stand in your own home and realize a stranger had space between his breath and your life. We call the police. We give the description we have. Tall, red-faced, dead stare. Like he wasn't piloting himself. The neighbor adds the part about him forcing her slider, about his hands thick and blunt against the glass. While we wait, my husband and I move through the rooms, pointing at absences like we're mapping a body. Camera, laptop, a jewelry box for my grandmother, a small envelope with emergency cash. I keep looking for the thing he shouldn't have taken because it's mine and because it proves he was close to us, but nothing's missing from the bedroom. That makes it worse somehow. It means he stood there and decided not to, or couldn't, or got interrupted. I go to the crib and touch the rails. Then my throat, because I feel like I swallowed a fist. My daughter's sleeping patterns are uneven. Usually I lay her in her little room after she conks out with me. Today I didn't. The thought is a cold hand I can't shake. If she'd slept in there. If he'd checked first. If. The officer is kind in that trained way, lets me say things out of order until the fear winds down enough that sentences are possible. We walk the exterior. There are scuffed shoe prints in the dirt by the office window, but they could be anyone's. The slider shows hand marks that look like any other hand marks if you didn't know a stranger made them. He lifts prints he probably doesn't expect to match. By the time we lock up, truly lock up, the sky is purple. We triple-check the deadbolt, the chain, the silly stick we wedge into the track of the slider because every apartment hack blog says it helps. When my husband steps outside to take a call, I can feel his absence like heat leaving a room. The condo is suddenly too big around me. I carry my daughter with me as I move, not because she needs me, but because I need the weight to tether me. That night, I listen to the house breathe. Every AC sigh is a footstep. I watch the crack under the bedroom door as if a shadow might pool and thicken there. I configure escape plans I hope I never need. Phone in the crib drawer, keys by the lamp, shoes pointed toward the hall. When I finally sleep, the dream sticks images together in ways that make me wake up choking. A bright red face pressed to glass, a bedroom door opening by itself and staying that way. A hand I don't recognize hovering over my baby's hair. Morning makes it all feel like a story people tell to warn other people. I hate that I'm one of those people now. I don't walk past the mailboxes without scanning every face. I start carrying my keys between my fingers, voicemail drafted in my head to the landlord about cameras, about lighting, about how bottom units are basically invitations unless you invest in iron and alarms. We get a cheap motion sensor for the hall, and the tiniest part of me hates the beep because it means the fear gets to live here now too. When I stand in the office, in the mess, my eyes keep snagging on a hair ribbon my daughter dropped in the doorway earlier. It's pink. It's stupid. It's perfect. I pick it up and think about a man I never saw, on drugs or on fire or just not there, navigating my rooms like a catalog, touching my life like it was something you could wear once and toss. People say, "At least you're okay." They mean well. We are okay. But okay is a floor that feels thinner now. I put my daughter in our bed for naps, longer than makes sense. I wedge a chair under the front knob, even though I know that's theater. I rehearse the parts where I get to be braver, louder. And every night at the edge of sleep, I remember the part where the door was open when I swore I'd closed it. Story 4. The Guy Outside the Dorm. I cut through the heat-soaked quad with a head full of edibles and regret. Creative writing party, dead. Munchies, in my backpack. Air, thick as hot soup. Campus looks abandoned even though it's barely 8. Sodium lights buzz, insects orbit, and brick dorms glow like toaster coils. I'm halfway past a residence hall I don't live in when a man steps out of the shadow like a magic trick gone wrong. 40s maybe. Hoodie in this heat, wiry beard, eyes too awake. "Did I ever tell you you look like Jesus, man?" he says, friendly, like he's opening a tab. I stop, brain lagging, mouth on autopilot. No? Sorry, do I know you?" He laughs like we've shared a joke. "Got a friend here. Can you get me in the building?" Every red flag I've ever ignored throws itself at me at once. Nobody older hangs on this campus after dark unless they're staff or lost. And there are 1,000 ways to ask for help that don't start with comparing me to a messiah. I'm blitzed enough that the sidewalk seems a little slanted. My heart is not. I say nothing long enough for it to be weird. He lifts a hand and slides it under his sweatshirt. Time folds. My body decides it's about to be robbed. He opens the front like he's showing a magician's empty hands. "See? No knife, no gun. I'm a good guy. Don't need to worry." That's exactly when I know I should. If a stranger has to narrate their lack of weapons, they've rehearsed this moment. Keys only open the dorm you live in. Even if I wanted to help, I couldn't. I also don't want to stand here and teach him which pockets I keep things in. My feet choose for me. I sprint. I am not fast. I become fast anyway. The world narrows to my breath and the echo of my shoes. I don't look back until I slap my fob to my dorm's glass door and shoulder through into fluorescent safety. No footsteps behind me. No man. Just my reflection, pale and stunned. Upstairs, I lock my room, then lock it again, then sit on the floor with my back against it until the panic evaporates enough to make words. I practice telling myself I overreacted. It almost works. A few days later, I'm in the campus police office because I write for the student paper. I do a weekly check-in for blotter items and ride-alongs. The sergeant I usually talk to flips through a folder and goes, "Oh, Interesting. We picked up a guy trying to get into Miller Hall last night. That the North Dorm? I ask, throat tightening. Yeah, he says, mid-40s, agitated, said his girlfriend lived there. Tried a ground floor window. The picture assembles itself without my permission. I ask for a description, and he gives me one that fits like a shirt. Dark hair, scruffy, sweatshirt despite the heat, intense. I hear the words, "no knife, no gun," in that voice again, and my palms sweat in an air-conditioned office. I tell him about my guy outside the dorm. He said he had a friend in there, but later admitted it was a girlfriend. Younger? The sergeant nods. Ex-girlfriend, from what we can tell, sent him a breakup text. He showed up to talk. Talk is doing a lot of work there. The relief I feel is complicated and ugly. On paper, everything ended okay. No one hurt, guy arrested, me not a headline. But the aftertaste is terror flavored with shame. Why didn't I call? Because I was high and didn't want to explain to a cop why my pupils were satellite dishes? Because I didn't want it to be real enough to dial? That night, I replay the scene, sober. He stepped out of nowhere and tried to make me complicit in his next move. If I'd fobbed that door for him, he would have been inside a building full of people who'd never seen him before, looking for one specific woman who'd decided no. I keep thinking about her. About the way your stomach drops when a text becomes a pounding on the door, then a shoulder, then a window latch. New rules. I write on an index card I wedge by my keys like a promise to some future version of me. Don't open. Don't explain. Don't be nice. If you can't help, don't stand there trying to. The campus looks different the next week. Same heat, same lights, but every doorway is a mouth, and every mouth can bite. I notice the white decals on the glass, residents only, and wonder how many times they've been ignored by people who are used to ignoring women saying the same thing. Two things stick with me more than they should. First, the way he performed innocence. Weapon check, smile, joke. Like he'd learned what nervous people want to see and stapled it to his face. Second, how ordinary the ground floor window looked when the sergeant talked about it. Anywhere you can press a palm is a place a story like this can start. Weeks pass. The story goes to the bottom of my mental stack. I buy a cheap whistle. I keep my head up at night, pretend I'm a different kind of animal. The newspaper runs a small piece about an arrest for trespass and attempted unlawful entry. No names, no picture. I clip it anyway and slide it into a folder, a strange trophy I hate owning. Sometimes I still see him in my head, standing in the heat, lifting his sweatshirt like a curtains-up pose. See? No knife. As if danger only counts when it's sharp, as if you have to show paperwork to be the threat. I don't need a knife to be scared. I need one sentence, one door, one man too old for campus, and reason to run. Story 5. Power gone, door shaking. It's the kind of sleep that feels like drowning upward. Then, bang! A violent, full-body hit to my front door like someone threw themselves at it. I jolt upright at 5 a.m. Room too still, so quiet, I immediately know what's wrong. No AC hum, no fan. The power's out. Another slam. The door shivers in its frame. For 2 heartbeats, I wonder if it's a dream or a leftover from the Benadryl haze I've been leaning on lately. Then whoever's out there hits the door again, harder, like a short run-up and a shoulder. I can hear the stairwell amplifying the stomp of boots. "No, we're just walking," a man's voice says, too close, too casual, like he's pretending to talk to someone on the phone. I don't move. I lie perfectly still and listen. Second floor walk-up, small town downtown, a building that should feel quaint, but right now feels like a diorama. My door is the front of the box, and someone is trying to peel it open. My brain scrambles for people. Friends? The landlord? Nobody. Then I remember my downstairs neighbor, the one who accidentally got my package a few months ago and found me on Facebook. She has 2 pit bulls with bodies like carved rock. I DM her because it feels safer than opening messages with the typing sound off. Before I can second-guess sending anything at this hour, she calls me. I saw them, she says without hello. 2 guys came out after trying my door, yours, the one across from you. They said they were just walking. I called the cops. My skin prickles. I keep my voice small so they won't hear through the door. My power's out. Mine too, she says. Stay inside. We meet in the hallway after she texts me the all clear. The air smells like dust and hot metal. In the utility nook, the breaker box door hangs ripped off its hinges, screws bent like pulled teeth. Every switch is snapped down. Outside a camera points at the entry, but if the power's dead, the only footage we'll get is whatever buffers on a ghost battery. Maybe nothing. My neighbor's dogs huff through their muzzles, low thunder. She's buzz-cut calm, phone already in one hand, the other on a leash looped around her wrist. She tried my handle, she says, not looking at me, looking at the stairs like she's daring footsteps to come back. Dogs were growling. They still pushed. Adrenaline makes time slide. The officer arrives 20 minutes later, which in fear minutes is a winter. He takes notes. He asks the same questions in 3 different ways. He looks at the torn-off metal door, at the switches, all off, all together, like a hand had swept the whole grid tonight. He says, could be kids, not convinced. Kids don't cut power at 5 to test doors, my neighbor says. That's a plan. He doesn't disagree. He writes 2 males and dark clothing and ran when confronted. He doesn't write how the building felt like a held breath. We reset the breakers. Lights stutter back to life with the relief of a held note finally released. I chuck my camera above the outside door and want to scream. The indicator is dead. The landlord texts he'll try to pull whatever the system stored before the power went. Try, not will. I make a mental list of things I can control. Locks, chains, who I tell my schedule to. All morning I hear doors in my head, mine rattling in its frame, the unit across the hall suffering the same insult at the same hour. I make coffee like someone performing calm for an audience. It tastes like pennies. I keep replaying the male voice outside, the way he threw the line, "We're just walking," into the air, as if the stairwell were a witness you could lie to. People at work say it might be that stupid challenge where teens kick doors for clout. Maybe. But the power cut, the method, 3 doors, one after the other. I can't make it fit the word trend without wanting to laugh in a way that isn't laughing. When I finally sleep again later, it's in starts. I dream the breaker box breaks again. I wake because the fan hiccups and stops, then restarts, and my rib cage thinks it's the door. I keep the chain latched even when I'm home. I leave shoes by the bed and my keys on a wrist lanyard I can pull on half asleep. 2 days pass. The landlord sends a short message, working on footage. My stomach sinks at the past tense already baked in. Working, not worked. He comes by to stare at the camera, like maybe it will confess. He jiggles the wires, promises to upgrade. I've heard promises in the exact tone you use with a skittish horse. My neighbor checks in at odd hours with curt texts. "You good?" I send back, "Yes," even when it's no, because I don't want to be the person who isn't okay over something that didn't happen. That's what my mind tells me. My heart says it did happen. No one got in because of a deadbolt and a door that opens outward. That's not nothing. That's luck plus a hinge. At dusk, I hear feet on the stairs again and hold my breath until the steps continue up past my landing. I get up and peer through the peephole like a child at a keyhole stage play. Empty hallway, just the static of old carpet and the smear of light under the exit door. In the quiet, I imagine parallel nights where they shoulder through and the apartment becomes a different story. One where I'm bargaining or breaking plates. One where the dogs downstairs get there in time or don't. The imagination is a cruel director. It keeps shouting again and forcing the scene to run. The next weekend, I buy a door bar. I wedge it under the knob at night, plastic meeting wood with a sound that says, maybe. I label my breaker switches with a Sharpie, like a parent labeling lunchboxes. If someone pulls them again, I'll know which to flip in the dark. I also write a note on the inside of my door at eye level where my future half-asleep self will see it if the apartment goes quiet wrong. Because in the moment, you want to watch, to listen, to not make a big deal. Survival is the opposite. Survival is noise. Survival is getting someone with a badge and a flashlight to walk your stairs while your hands shake and your neighbor's dogs rumble like they can smell fear fresh on concrete. I don't know who they were. I know they had a plan. I know cutting power makes a building blind and muffles the world so you can hear your own fear better. I know my door held. I know the difference between quiet and silence now. And I don't like that I had to learn it here. Story 6. The Man Who Waited by My Takeout. DoorDash says my food's in the main lobby. Wrong building. I live in the secondary one across the courtyard. But drivers rarely read notes. No big deal. I throw on sandals, take the shortcut to the lobby, and the glass doors breathe cold air out like a sigh. There's a guy sitting near the benches, phone to his ear, eyes not on his call, but on my paper bag. He looks up when I step in, clocks me, then the stapled receipt. "You're here," he says, like he's relieved, like we had plans. "Oh, thanks for waiting," I say, half smile. "You the dasher?" He stands up. "Yeah, I'm Jack. Apartment 666. He grins like that's funny. "What's yours?" I give him a fake name before my brain finishes assembling the pieces. The note in the app about a suspicious man, the fact that he's inside the lobby but hovering, not leaving, the way his eyes don't blink enough. "Appreciate it," I say, gathering the bag. I pivot toward the exit. He doesn't head for the doors. He ghosts toward the elevators. 2 ways back to my building, up to the 4th floor and transfer across, or cut the garage at grade, a straight exposed line. He's holding a fob. He taps the call button and steps into the elevator, or pretends to. I don't want to be in a steel box with him while he learns where I live. I go through both lobby doors and cut into the garage. It smells like warm concrete and antifreeze. My footsteps echo. It's a 2-minute walk. I keep my pace brisk, without looking rushed. I look behind me at the halfway point, and he's a silhouette in the garage doorway, shoulders squared. He didn't take the elevator at all. Adrenaline flips a switch in my legs. I bolt for the secondary doors, jam the elevator button there, listen to the distant cart grinding down floors like it has all the time in the world. My skin feels 2 sizes too small. If he pushes through before my elevator arrives, we're sealed in a pocket with no highs and probably no signal. Plan B. Stairs. I grab my bag tighter and take them 2 at a time, cutting to the 4th floor, the usual transfer level. If he's following for real, he'll appear here too. If it's just coincidence, he won't. My lungs scratch. I keep moving, cut across the glass conservatory and through to the main building's 4th floor hall, where there's usually at least a stray human. A door clanks at the trash chute down the corridor. Someone's out. Good. I stop to breathe. The paper bag grease bloom looks like a target on my palm. He bursts through the glass doors seconds later, breathing hard, eyes bright with something that isn't normal anger. He gets close, too close, and jabs a finger at my receipt. "You stole that. That's not yours. I watched you. You're a thief." I put space between us, back hitting the wall. "This is mine." Then prove it. This says 119. He taps the faded ink where the app prints the order number. Apartment 119. I'm going to follow you and make sure you take it there, where I'll call the police. You should be evicted. It's the order number, I say, louder, hoping anyone behind a door hears the shape of my voice, not the unit. He keeps talking over me, stepping in. He smells like stale sweat and sour laundry. He studies the receipt like it's a warrant. To read that print, you have to be inches away. He was always going to get inches away. There's a second when the hall goes quiet enough that I hear my own pulse. The person at the trash chute is gone. It's just me and him and the lit button beside the elevator. He stabs it and keeps threatening. I don't wait for the doors to open. I bolt, back through the glass, across the courtyard, through to my building, and into the elevator that finally arrives like a lifeboat. Inside my apartment, I can't breathe right. My hands shake so hard the bag rattles. I slide the deadbolt, the chain, then stand there, bent, lungs wheezing a sound I didn't know they could make. I don't have asthma. My body doesn't care. I feel like I've been sprinting through water. When my heart stops trying to exit via my teeth, I write an email. It's long and clinical to keep me from crying. Timestamps, locations, what each camera should show. I attach the DoorDash notification and a screenshot of his apartment 666 line because I don't care if he made it up. It's a sentence someone says for a reason. I copy the property manager and the general inbox. I ask them to pull footage. Then I can't stop moving. I keep replaying the garage doorway, him framed there, not even pretending anymore, and the hall confrontation. The way my brain tried to logic puzzle a man who wanted me boxed in. I wash my hands, twice, because his breath felt like it got on my skin. I put the bag on the counter and lose my appetite. I check the peephole every 3 minutes for an hour, then finally wedge a chair under the knob like I'm in a hotel with a flickering film on TV. I sleep badly in bursts. Every dream has the same blocking. I turn a corner, and he's there already. Finger on whatever thing I'm holding, saying a number, telling me where I'm allowed to exist. I wake to my phone buzzing like an alarm I didn't set. Phantom notifications from a building that suddenly has too many doors. Morning is cruelly ordinary. I craft sentences in my head that sound like evidence. He pretended to be my dasher. He said his name was Jack. He followed me across 2 buildings after faking an elevator ride. He confronted me inches from an elevator while I was alone. He threatened to follow me to my apartment. He studied my receipt. He was fast. I send the email again from a different address. Attach a map I drew with arrows. I add, I don't feel safe. Please confirm receipt. Please confirm you've saved footage. My hands settle eventually. My eyes don't. Every time I step into a shared space, my brain previews him in it. The lobby bench, the garage threshold, the glass between buildings. The routes I took last night feel visible now, like chalk lines anyone could trace. By the time the sun slides behind the courtyard, the email sits there unanswered, and I'm standing in my kitchen staring at the door like I can will it to be thicker. I order a video doorbell and 2 small cameras. I add pepper spray and a keychain alarm to the cart. It feels dramatic and also like the bare minimum. I leave the lights on and rehearse not apologizing the next time I have to say, back up. I thought a suspicious man in the lobby was something that happened to other people, in other buildings, on other nights. It's not. It's a man who learns your shortcut, who waits by the food until you arrive so he can time his lie to your hand on the bag. It's someone who wants you to share an elevator so he can narrow you down to a door. I don't take elevators with strangers anymore. I don't walk the garage without my keys in my fist. I keep thinking, he didn't want the food. He wanted me to be alone in the wrong place long enough for his version of the story to be the only one.
Story 7. Management knows his name. I'm still tremoring the next morning when the knock comes. 3 short, 1 long. Not cops. I check the peephole. Property manager. 2 maintenance guys behind him like nervous bookends. He doesn't make it past hello before apologizing. "We pulled the footage," he says, voice low like the hallway has ears. "It's concerning. Let's call the police together. You shouldn't have to do this alone." We stand outside, away from the lobby where he likes to sit, away from the garage doorway where I first saw his silhouette, and we call. I give my statement, timestamps, the route across both buildings. The manager adds what they already knew. Complaints from other women. Late-night hovering. Aggressive confrontations that melt into charm when a man appears. The dispatcher sends an officer. He arrives with a clipboard and the kind of tired compassion that comes from too many calls like this. He asks if I saw a weapon. "I don't remember," I say. "Please check the footage. He got inches from me. If you didn't state a weapon, you can't later say you felt threatened because of one, even if the footage shows it." I blink. "He followed me across 2 buildings at 11 p.m., cornered me at an elevator, threatened to follow me to my apartment. Does that not count?" "Did he say, 'I'm going to kill you,' or 'I'm going to hurt you'?" "No," I admit. "He said I should be evicted, that I stole, that he'd follow me." The officer writes verbal dispute and nuisance. My heart slides down a rung. After he leaves, the manager exhales like he's been holding his breath for months.
"We've been trying to evict him," he says. "It's complicated. Disability protections, affordable housing unit. Lawyers say we need more." "More?" My voice sounds thin. "Than him chasing women?" He doesn't answer. I lock my door and order everything I can. Video doorbell, 2 small cameras, pepper spray, a keychain alarm. I keep thinking about how close his face was to the receipt, how easily my name on a bag could map to the building directory with a finger in 10 seconds. I use what the manager whispered, first and last name, birth date, to search public records. It takes an hour to peel back 7 years, 6 court cases, variations on the theme, stalking, harassment, domestic violence, multiple restraining orders, some expired, some dodged, 1 attempt to confiscate a firearm that didn't stick. He lives a floor below me. He's been here 6 months. I press my palms to my desk until the paper edges leave dents in my skin. The building feels like a body with a tumor. We share walls with a man who treats no like an invitation. Days pass. Management works on pulling footage. The best clips arrive late and incomplete, him pretending to take the elevator, then reappearing in the garage doorway, then cutting through the conservatory with his chest up and chin out. The crucial piece, his finger tapping my receipt, his threats, missing. System hiccup, they say. It feels like a magician's scarf. What I need is always up the sleeve. I stop leaving the apartment without a plan. I choose times and doors like I'm setting traps for myself. The package I'm waiting on, a camera, lands in the mailroom on his floor. I stare at the notification like it's a dare. I call a friend who lives in his building. "Meet me," I say, voice too bright. "Near the mailroom. Just be there." At 6 p.m., courtyard light honeyed, I step out and he's there, framed by the conservatory glass across the way. He sees me and grins like he just recognized a favorite song. His mouth moves. I can't make out the words. My body understands them anyway. I turn and run. My friend sees him from behind and meets me at my door with her husband. They find me packing a go bag with shaking hands. Passport, cash, chargers, a sweater I love for no good reason. "You're leaving," my friend says, making it a fact. I am. We email management again. My friend and her husband file their own statements. They saw him, heard him yelling. The office admits other women have complained. And then the part that makes my scalp prickle. He's protected, they say. Fair housing. Disability. We can't discriminate. Against whom? I ask. Against the people he's scaring. They look like they hate the question. They also look relieved it's not theirs to answer. I sleep at my friend's place 2 nights. My heart wakes me at 5 like a cruel alarm. I scroll public records again because knowing is a compulsion now. I imagine the officers' tired faces reading my name again on a new report and filing it in the same drawer. When my doorbell arrives, it's in his building, his floor. I text my married friend, "I'll meet you by the mailroom," she replies. "We'll go together." Courage is sometimes 2 people carrying your fear between them like a mattress. We get there and he's not in sight. I grab the box and we start back along a hallway I now know too well. The elevator dings. He steps out, sees us, and his expression slides into something petulant and hot. He throws words over his shoulder like a fisherman testing a net. Thief. Liar. Evicted. He jabs the air, then the call button again, like doors are the only thing he can control. We keep moving. I don't give him my face. I don't give him anything. Back in my apartment, I install the doorbell with shaking hands. The management office ignores my request to notify residents. They say, "We can't name individuals. Privacy. Liability." I write a long email anyway. What he did, where, when. I send it to every address I can find, including myself, so it feels like someone is listening. I forward it to my sister, and she calls me mid-sentence. "We're coming," she says. "We'll help you move." I look around at the life I built in this building, a plant that finally decided to grow, a rug I saved up for, a kitchen that faces the wrong way for sunsets, and I understand the simplest math in the world. Amenities minus safety equals 0. The pool means nothing if I sprint past its glass at night. 2 days later, I'm at my friend's again, packing boxes with my name on them. My doorbell app keeps lighting. Motion at your door. He's pacing the hallway. He pauses as stares into the camera, expression blank. He doesn't knock. He doesn't need to. My phone vibrates like a heartbeat I can see. I don't wait for an eviction that may never come. I don't wait for a better clip. I thank my neighbor with the pit bulls for calling that first night. I leave a note for the next tenant with the only advice that matters. Don't take the elevator with anyone who wants to know where you live. I lock my door one last time, hear the click, and know it's the right kind of quiet.
Story 8. The Hand with Red Nails. We'd spent a whole day not speaking over something dumb, 2 adults sulking like teenagers. He teaches in a town 15 minutes away. I work from bed with earplugs half in because it keeps the apartment small and quiet. Tuesdays, he's usually back by 2:30. Around 1, I hear the front door opened and shut. Okay, I think. Early? Fine. We'll do the awkward hey and pretend we forgot what we were fighting about. The bedroom door is closed. I keep typing, pretending not to listen. His footsteps move around the living room in that heavy, familiar way like he is shaking off the day. If I wasn't stuck in the melodrama of our fights, I might notice how slow they are, how they linger. The knob turns. The door opens a few inches. I turn my head, already wearing a sheepish smile I hate on my own face. A woman's hand rests on the knob. Slim. Red nail polish, glossy and perfect. She pulls the door shut again without coming in. I sit there, mouth open, my brain flaring through relatives. His mom? His sister? Neither has keys. The landlady? She doesn't enter without warning. My chest fizzles with a kind of static I feel in my teeth. I yank my earplugs and step into the living room. It smells like perfume, powdery and floral,
a scent with an old-fashioned backbone that doesn't belong to anyone I know. The room itself looks normal. No bag dropped by the couch, no jacket on the chair, nothing disturbed, just perfume suspended in the air like a lie that forgot to leave. I retreat to the bedroom and lock the door, my hands shaking so hard I miss the thumb turn twice. The balcony is right there. I step out into gray January rain in bare feet and call him. "Is your mom here? Or your sister?" I ask. My voice sounds like someone else. "No," he says, instant worry flattening the fight. "Don't move. I'm calling the police." They arrive in minutes. 2 uniforms, patient voices, flashlights that carve the apartment into slices. They search everything, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. I feel ridiculous and also relieved seeing it empty, inside the coat closet. "Nothing's missing," one of them says, as if that ends it. "Could be the landlady checked a leak." "She never does that," I say. "She calls first." They leave us with a case number and a suggestion to change the locks. We demand it. When the landlady shows up with her husband, she kneels by the door and squints. "Here," she says, pointing to a small square of raw metal by the keyhole where paint is shaved away. "Tools," she adds. "Someone worked this." I watch her husband replace the cylinder while my eyes keep jumping to the kitchen like there's something I forgot in there. I don't know what. The apartment still smells faintly of powder, even with the windows cracked. For a day we convince ourselves it was her, the landlady I mean. She must have come in and realized we were home and retreated quietly. Maybe she wears perfume I've never noticed. Maybe red nail polish is universal. But every version we run makes less sense than the one where a stranger opened our bedroom door and saw my calves under the blanket and decided to close it again. On day 2, he says, "Don't freak out," which is a sentence designed to make me do exactly that. The orange kitchen scissors are gone. What? We tear the apartment up. Drawers, cabinets, the catch-all bowl by the door. Nothing. Maybe we lent them to a neighbor. We didn't. Maybe we lost them at a picnic months ago. We didn't. The apartment is a snow globe. We shake and shake. The scissors are not inside. The combination of facts, hand with red nails, slow footsteps, perfume, tool marks, nothing stolen except scissors, settles into me like cold water. The police shrug when we call to add the detail. "No valuables taken?" the officer asks. "Probably a spooked burglar. Keep your door secured."
People take weird trophies sometimes, he says, like he's done with the conversation before I am. For the next week, the apartment and I negotiate new rules. I work without earplugs. I don't shower when I'm alone. I keep the balcony door locked even in daylight and stop pretending it's romantic to leave it cracked to hear rain. Every 3 steps, I smell that perfume again, even when I know it's gone. It's a ghost I made myself. At night, I replay the moment the doorknob moved, and each time the memory adds a finger or subtracts a ring, as if my brain keeps trying on versions until one fits. Sometimes I imagine the hand hovering, deciding. Sometimes I imagine a face to match the nails. Red mouth, careful hair. I can't make a story where she's harmless. He apologizes more than he needs to, because it was neither of us and also both. The fight that made me slow to notice, the habit that made him a known schedule. We're both predictable in ways we didn't notice until someone else noticed first. A week later, I'm cooking and reach for scissors that aren't there, and the absence makes my stomach drop all over again. I look past the knife block at the door and see that little square where the paint is scuffed shiny. It looks like a missing tooth. I think about what kitchen scissors are good for. String, plastic packaging, tape, and then I stop thinking because the next things on the list are hair and cloth and worse. We buy a camera for the entry and it throws my own image back at me every time I come home, startled, guilty looking, like I could be the stranger if I didn't know better. We add another deadbolt that requires a key from the inside. Safe for fire? Probably not. Safe from someone with a bump key and a slow gait and the patience to walk circles in the living room until the right door opens? Maybe. Friends say, could it have been a neighbor? in a tone like we should be flattered. I start noticing red nails everywhere, on the bus, at checkout, wrapped around paper cups. I want to tap each woman's sleeve and ask, "Were you in my home?" And also never ask anyone anything again. The worst part is the not knowing. What did she want? Why the scissors? Why close the door? Was it pity? Panic? Strategy? Did she come back while we were at work and stand in the kitchen looking at the spot where the scissors used to be, pleased to see the absence she made? Did she put the perfume on purpose, to be remembered? Or was it an accident? Fumes that cling, like mine do when I fry garlic and then walk around smelling like dinner. The new locks click with a satisfying gravity. They don't fix the part where I lay in bed and listen for slow footsteps that sound exactly like the person I love coming home early. The door moves in my mind, a small swing, a hand with a gloss that catches the light, a decision that doesn't involve me at all. There's a jar of cash by the entry we never got around to hiding better. It wasn't touched. That should make me feel lucky. It makes me feel chosen in a way I don't want to understand. At the end of the month, I'm brushing my teeth when a scent drifts up the hall, faint and floral. I freeze, toothpaste turning to foam in my mouth. He calls from the living room, "Did you spray something?" "No," I say, mouth full. We look at the door together. Nothing moves. The camera's little red dot blinks like a heartbeat. I'm not certain she'll ever come back. That isn't the point. The point is I can picture her doing it, which means part of me lives in that picture now. A crack of light, a painted hand, and the quietest theft in the world.
Story 9. We're with the cable company. Our back door is a formality no one uses. It sits at the top of a skinny exterior staircase the width of a laundry basket, scabbed with old paint and rain scars. Everyone comes to the front. So when someone knocks back there at dusk, a sound like knuckles on a drum, my body knows it's wrong before my brain does. I call out without opening. "Hello?" 2 tall men fill the window pane like a split screen. Ball caps, work boots, matching windbreakers that could be uniforms if you squint. One taps the glass with a pen. "Evening, ma'am. We're with the cable company. Routine service. Need to check your line." We do have cable. We don't have trouble with it. My hand gropes for the deadbolt out of habit and rests on it instead. "We're not having any issues," I say, trying to keep my voice level. "Is there a problem in the building?" "Area service," the talker repeats, like he's reading from a prompter. "We're hitting every unit. Let us in and we'll be out of your hair." My other hand finds the knife block on the counter like it's a lighthouse. I slide a chef's knife free and hold it against my chest out of their sight line. "I can use the front," I offer. "It's easier." He smiles in a way that doesn't travel to his eyes. "Back's faster, ma'am. We're on a deadline." The second man, silent until now, tests the doorknob. It rattles against the lock. My rib cage tightens. "No entry," I say. "Not without a work order." My voice wobbles on the last word, and I want to bite it back. "Ma'am," the talker says again. The word is sandpaper now. "Let us in so we can do our job." The clock on the stove clicks. I think about how often I open for packages without thinking, how easily a habit becomes a hole. I picture the narrow stairs behind them, no room to pass or pivot if I do something stupid. There's a line I remember from a women's self-defense class. If you have to say no more than once, make the second one louder. "No," I say, louder. "Name and badge number, please. I'll call your supervisor to confirm." I almost add, "I'm recording," but I'm not, and bluffing felt brave a second ago and feels dumb now. That makes them shuffle. The talker glances at the silent one like he's looking for a script page. The silent one lets go of the knob. The air between us goes thinner, stretched tight over something. I imagine the shape of their plan changing. quick entry versus later return, brute force versus finding an easier door.
Not necessary, ma'am, the talker says. His smile shows too many teeth. We're sorry to waste your time. They step back. The window replaces faces with dusk and my reflection holding a knife like a bad actor. I listen to their feet descend the stairs. I don't move for a count of 30. My hands are shaking so hard the blade whispers against my shirt. I want to call someone, the company, the cops, my husband, anyone who can metabolize this into a checklist. My fingers won't do it. I slide down the cabinet and sit on the linoleum with the knife butt pressed to my sternum like a seatbelt, breath stuttering in, out, in. The room is too bright. Everything hums. When my husband comes home, I tell the story in the wrong order. Caps, windbreakers, deadline. The rattle at the lock, the word ma'am repeated until it sounded like a pry bar. He puts his hands on my shoulders and then goes practical. He calls the cable company on speaker, gives our address. The rep checks a schedule. No techs in your area tonight, she says. If someone comes without an appointment, don't let them in. We do the neighbor circuit the next day. No one else got a visit. Everyone's eyebrows go up in the same way that means they're going to double-check their locks tonight. I practice my script in my head in case it happens again. Name, badge, work order, supervisor number, front door only. That night, I sleep light and mean. Every stair creak becomes boots on wood. Every car door outside is a knock relocated. I dream there's a ladder laid against our back wall like punctuation and wake with my throat sore from not screaming. By morning, I want evidence to pin the fear to. I open the back door 2 inches, chain still on, and see smudges where fingers might have pressed the glass, a scuff on the upper stair like someone turned hard. It's nothing. It's enough. I shut the door and lock all 3 locks like I'm sealing a hull. I keep replaying the moment the second man tried the knob. It was small, almost polite, testing, not forcing. That's what gets me. The assumption that if you act like you belong, windbreaker, clipboard, deadline, a door will learn to open. I write a note by the back door at eye level because future me will forget in a month when the world feels soft again. Do not open this door for anyone. Call the company yourself. It looks ridiculous until it doesn't. 3 evenings later, I hear movement on the stairs again. Not a knock, footfalls, then retreat. I edge to the peephole and see no one. When I check the breaker closet by the landing, the panel door hangs crooked. I feel the ghost of another story settling over mine, the one where the power goes out and the knocks get meaner. We start leaving a light on in the hall because darkness is a tool, and I don't want to lend it. Weeks pass. The story calcifies into a cautionary tale I tell friends. Ask for badge numbers. Don't let uniforms be all it takes. I keep the knife block closer. We sign up for account alerts so legitimate techs require confirmation codes before they roll. I buy a stick-on camera for the back door. It pings my phone whenever a moth thinks about us. It's annoying. I love it. The worst part isn't the scare. It's the polite choreography of it. The way ma'am keeps echoing in my head, the way a made-up deadline knocked like it had a key, the way my own manners tried to unlock my hand from the deadbolt. I think about what would have happened if I had opened. The staircase is a throat. Once you let something in, there's nowhere for the air to go. I picture the talker stepping past me like he owns the room and the silent one closing the door because that's what silent ones do. I picture myself performing hospitality while my body looks for a window to jump through. I don't open now. I don't explain. The back door is no longer a door. It's a wall with hinges, artifact from a time when I thought access and safety could share a frame.
Story 10. Tape over my mouth. Storm comes in sideways wind like fingernails down the house. My husband's on a golf trip because of course he is, and both kids are finally asleep upstairs. I'm doing that mom math where coffee at 9 p.m. means survival at midnight. So I brew a mug, lock what I think I've locked, and stand by the back door watching the rain bead. It's one of those isolated houses that's cozy until it isn't. The nearest neighbor is a smear of light through trees. thunder rolls. My reflection in the glass looks like a stranger. The back door is not shut all the way. I don't remember leaving it like that. I reach for it, and the room tilts. Dizzy runs up my spine like a ripple, and the floor does that slow elevator drop. I sit. The chair is farther away than I thought. My fingers feel thick. The sound the mug makes hitting tile is small and musical and wrong. I blink hard to gather the world back up, and it scatters anyway. Everything goes gray around the edges. When I wake, my breathing is too loud in my head and too hard in my chest. My lips are stuck shut. Something sticky, chemical crosses my mouth, pulls when I try to open it. I grunt and feel the sound bounce back into me. My arms are behind the chair. I pull, and tape bites my wrists. I look down and see silver bands across my waist, my ankles, my thighs. He's taken time with me. He's wrapped me like a package. The lamp above me snaps on. He's in the rectangular light like a cutout. Medium build, hood up, lower face masked with a scarf. Not big, not small. The kind of size your brain can't categorize as safe or not, so it calls it dangerous. I panic for the kids. The panic is a flare inside my throat and chest. I make a sound through the tape, please, please, but it's only breath and muscle, no words. He holds up a hand like he's soothing a dog. Shh, he says, softly, like someone reading bedtime stories. I don't want to hurt you. Do you keep cash in the house? I shake my head so hard the chair scoots a little and the tape across my ankles bites. He watches my face the way pickpockets watch hands. He moves past me without touching me and starts filling a bag. Methodical. Drawers, jewelry box. He holds a necklace up to the light for a second, as if evaluating it, then drops it in. I can't stop staring at his gloves. Black, tight, cheap. The kind you buy by the door at a hardware store. He glances toward the ceiling at the small noise the HVAC makes when it turns on, and then he says the sentence that pushes me right to the edge. Don't worry, the kids are still sleeping. The room goes small and far away, like someone pinched the corners. I try to speak. The tape bows in and out with my breath. Tears leak from the corners of my eyes without asking permission. I think, don't wake them, and also, God, wake up, scream. My whole body becomes a split decision. Sorry for this, he adds as if he bumped my shoulder on a bus. Bad times. He zips the bag like he's clocking out of a shift. At the back door, he pauses, looks over his shoulder, and then he's a shadow in rain, then nothing. The sound of the tape over my mouth is all I have for a few seconds. My breath ballooning and collapsing it, that ugly, sticky click. I twist my lips and duck my chin and work the edge. The adhesive tastes bitter and plasticky. It pulls hair and skin as it gives. When it loosens enough, I bite, jaw aching, and peel it down like I'm tearing off a beehive. I suck air that feels like a rescue. The kids. The stairs are Everest. I rock the chair until it thumps over and I hit tile hard enough to knock another breath out of me. I drag myself like a seal, ankles taped, wrists burning. My hands finally find a slick edge I can work against, the cabinet corner, and the tape begins to lift. Freedom is a sequence. One hand, then the other, then the ankles. I run. Both bedrooms. Small backs rising and falling like little tides. They slept through everything. I press a hand on each warm back like a prayer. It's okay, I whisper, which is a lie. It's not okay. It will never be the same okay. I dial with shaking fingers. The operator keeps me on the line while I scrape my nails over the tape on my legs, breaking it into gummy threads. Are you injured? She asks. Only the kind that won't show on camera, I think. Out loud. No, my children, I think they're okay. Police arrive with cautious footsteps and careful voices. Blue gloves, flashlights that turn my kitchen into a lab. They look at the mug shards, the coffee slick on tile, the streaks where tape ripped off skin, the small square of door jamb where someone worked a tool. They ask what I drank. I point at the half-empty mug. They take it. I tell them what he said about money, about the kids sleeping. They write. I say gloves and bag and hood and sorry for this. The words feel stupid and enormous. One of them squints at the back door, at the lock. No forced entry, he says, like it's a riddle. He could have slipped in when you were taking the trash, or when you checked the weather, or he was already inside, waiting. My stomach turns over hard. They leave with evidence in little bags, with my statement. I put the kids in my bed and lie crosswise at the foot like a guard dog who doesn't know how to be a dog. Every tick of the house is a footfall. Thunder moves away. The silence that replaces it isn't kind. Morning makes it look staged, tape tails like party streamers, a chair scuffed where I rocked it over, a rain mat glistening by the door. I shower, and the hot water stings the skin around my mouth where the adhesive burned it. In the mirror, I look like someone who lost a fight with a roll of duct tape. They catch him. This is a sentence I didn't expect to write. Late in the week, an officer calls and asks me to come in. I identify a photograph. He's smaller than fear, which makes me hate fear for being so good at exaggeration. They show me what they took off him. My earrings, a ring, a handful of little things that look silly on the white table. Then, the part that spins me, how he knew. He follows your account, the officer says, not unkind. He knew your husband was away. He knew the house. He said he watched you make coffee. The coffee turns to a brick in my memory. I hear the pour again, the spoon, the sugar's soft impact, and picture a pair of eyes outside the glass, waiting for the moment the kitchen would shrink to a tunnel. He tells them he's desperate, lost his business, economy this, bad luck that. He says he didn't want to hurt anyone. He says like it's a commendation that he made sure the kids didn't wake. I sit in the car afterward and shake so hard the key won't fit the ignition. I thought arrest would be a bell that stops ringing. It isn't. It's a notification. It tells me what I already know. This happened. It will always have happened. The house knows it, the chair, the cup, my skin. I put covers on the outlets, brackets on the dresser, a new camera over the back door, because safety is a religion and I'm learning its rituals too late. I change my posting habits, nothing in real time. I put the kids in my bed more than I should. I don't drink coffee past dinner anymore, even though I loved the small ceremony of it. I can't do the taste without the tilt. Friends say I'm brave. I'm not. I'm just someone who had to learn new rules. The first one, locks are promises you have to keep with your attention, not just your hands. The second, if you tell the world where you are, the world is kind enough to send you someone. The third, apology means nothing when paired with preparation. He said sorry, and also taped me to a chair. At night, when it rains, the lamp over the table flickers a little, and in that stutter, I see a rectangle of light, a hood, gloves, a bag unzipping like a mouth. I tell myself a different story to fall asleep. I wake up in time, I pour the coffee down the sink, I latch every lock twice, I carry both babies upstairs and sleep on the floor beside them with my hand wrapped in tape I choose. In that version, the house is small and mine, and the storm is only weather. In this one, I keep the back door shut and check it again and again and again.
Story 11, Balcony over the Street, Late August in Mallorca. Late August in Mallorca tastes like salt and sugar. I'm 8, which means everything is an adventure and nothing is truly dangerous until it is. Our hotel sits over a street that thrums at night. Braid booths, henna, name on a grain of rice stalls, little neon fans spinning like tiny UFOs. Our terrace is a box seat. My mom, my grandma, my aunt, and me, 4 faces leaning over a railing, our elbows printing little half-moons on our forearms. By the 5th night, the routine is set. We eat early, then hover above the street with plastic cups of orange soda and the kind of tired that makes you silly. The air is soft and warm, scooters purr past. The sea is a nighttime rumor beyond the buildings. I'm learning the city from above, how the same vendors show up in the same spots, how couples argue with their hands, how laughter sounds different in different languages. Down below, at one of the pop-up tattoo chairs, a guy sits awkwardly forward, back arched, so the artist can work a design he won't see until it's too late. His girlfriend stands to the side, bored, phone out. It's ordinary, background noise, until a man I don't recognize slides into the frame like a wrong subtitle. He's close, too close to the girlfriend. At first, I think they know each other, and then I see her face go tight. She looks at the ground like that might make her invisible. My mom says, "Hey," in a tone I've heard once when a dog got too curious around me. She doesn't speak much English, but she knows stop. She says it, loud enough to lift eyes. The man looks up at us. I will never forget that look, a flat, mean glare that feels like a hand on your throat, the kind that says, if there weren't people, if there weren't lights. He goes back to what he was doing. My aunt picks it up too, stop. And my grandma, smaller but fiercer, adds a string of Spanish that needs no translation. Other heads turn. The boyfriend twists mid-needle and sees his girlfriend's body locked in place. The crowd's attention becomes a net. The creep peels away, face burning, and stares up at us like we stole something from him. He disappears toward the side of the hotel. My stomach drops the way it does on swings when you go too high. On the ground floor, tucked beside the restaurant, there's a side entrance with a keypad. It's convenient if you're carrying bags. It's nothing if you know the code. We watch the door like it can answer for us. The man appears there, tries the handle, then presses his body close to the glass to see if anyone's coming. For a second, his face is all we can see. Hard, angry, mouth a line. The door doesn't open. My mom exhales. Then, 2 German girls in sundresses come down the interior stairs towards that exit, laughing, keys in hand, moving on autopilot. "No," my mom shouts, voice bouncing off concrete. "No, don't." I join in because 8-year-olds are brave with backup. "No," I yell, and pound the railing with both palms like percussion will travel faster than language. The girls stop, startled, then look through the glass and see him. One shakes her head. They turn around. He lingers. He paces. He walks out of view and then back into it like he's looking for another way in. Each time he reappears, I feel the railing under my fingers and measure the drop to the street in my mind as if falling would fix anything. We go to the front desk because that is the law of grown-ups. You escalate to authority. My mom's English is a handful of useful nouns and verbs. The clerk's Spanish is about the same. But panic translates.
In the morning, the front desk clerk looks relieved to see us and also embarrassed to be relieved. "Policia came," he says. "Walked." He taps the counter like it's a map. "You okay?" My mom says yes, because that is how you end stories like this when there isn't a neat ending. We eat breakfast by the window, and my orange juice tastes metallic. When we go out, I hold my grandma's hand even though I'm 8 and that's too old. When a man stares too long, I stare back like I learned of last night, and practice matters. We talk about leaving. We don't. We do what people always do. Adjust the rules. No side door, ever. We meet before sundown. We sit with our backs to walls. We stop leaning over the balcony. From above, the street is still lovely. Silver hoops, braided hair, and glitter tattoos. But the frame has changed. Years later, I can still feel the hotel under my palms, and the instant the scene flipped from something fun to something like a test. The part that keeps scraping me is how quick it all was. 10 seconds of my mother choosing to say something instead of look away.
10 seconds of a man choosing to punish that. 10 seconds of two girls deciding no. 10 seconds where a keypad meant the difference between scary and we call the police and go back upstairs and stare at the door until late. I think about the creep too, even though I hate giving him headspace. He wasn't supernatural. He wasn't a rumor. He was an ordinary man who reacted to being watched with the need to be bigger. He wanted us to feel it. He wanted in. I still don't know what would have happened if the code hadn't been there, if the girls had walked through smiling because someone above wasn't pounding a railing and yelling a word that crosses borders. Back home, I learned the word for what we did: bystander intervention. It sounds like a brochure. It felt like a chorus. It also felt like danger could climb stairs. I keep a rule from that night, and it's simple. If a door requires a code, treat it like a promise, and never hold it for a stranger because you're being polite. Smile through the glass. Point to the front desk. Let someone be mad at your manners and not your obituary. On some nights, I still hear the crowd, see the tattooist wipe a line of ink, feel my mom's breath next to mine as she shouted at a man she didn't know in a language she barely spoke. I'm not 8 anymore, but I still look down from balconies the way you look at oceans, beautiful until it isn't, border between safety and whatever waits if you pretend doors are just for decoration.